What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to be talking about Sheik versus Fox. I feel like the Fox matchup is the hardest matchup because it is sort of a culmination of all the different skills you need to learn in this game coming together into one very difficult matchup. Just because it's a difficult matchup, though, doesn't mean it's a losing matchup. In fact, I feel like it's honestly either even or winning for Sheik. Whereas a lot of matchups involve sort of just solving the matchup, especially against low tiers, with a lot of Sheik matchups, you find yourself sort of solving the matchup where you do the same thing over and over in each position, and it nets a really good benefit for Sheik. But I think with Sheik versus Fox, you have to remember to play the human being in front of you a lot more often than you're normally used to. So the main philosophy for this matchup and for Sheik in general is that Sheik is this gigantic wall of defense, and most of the time, your opponent's going to have to punish something 2 layers deep in order to crack that defense. What I mean by that is if you do something like an auto-cancel fair, you're probably not going to get punished for doing that fair. You're going to get punished for what happens afterwards. So if I do fair F-tilt, you'll probably get punished for the F-tilt. If I do fair dash back, you'll probably get punished for the dash back if they read it. And if they don't read it, that's really good for you. Your opponent can also just choose not to interact with your big wall of defense, and it's important to recognize that and abuse it, because if you don't abuse it, then it's not a great situation. You're just kind of doing nothing forever. So once they start respecting your space, you can just start going in on them and doing something like boost grab, or even just run up and jump and set up shield pressure, or just pressure in general. Your philosophy in this matchup should be to prioritize getting the knockdown above all else and making sure your grabs hit hard, whether it be through reaction tech chasing or through forward throw and back throw gimps, or both. The main rule of thumb is basically that from 0 to 24%, Sheik isn't really allowed to use any of her moves except for spaced aerials, up tilt, needles, and grab. You can do things like space jab and F tilt, but the reward is very minimal and the risk is quite large. So 24% is the magic number where F-tilt knocks down as long as they aren't true crouching. And this is fantastic because it basically just guarantees a reaction tech chase. And that's the name of the game in this matchup. Honestly, if you don't have the reaction tech chase down, this matchup is not going to be fun for you. And so it's important to have at least a pretty good down throw punish game, or at least with band-aids, if not more. There's a couple ways foxes like to play in order to deal with this style. They could just laser a lot and play really far away, and it's important to recognize this and encroach on their space and take the space from them by walking forward or wave dashing forward. In doing this, you pressure them into being forced to respect the possibility of you boost grabbing or something like that. At the same time, though, you can also wave dash back in case they attack you. And this is why standing close to them in this sweet spot range is really important, because cornering them, they'll feel more and more inclined to do something about it. Another strategy foxes might do to you in order to prevent you from abusing things like boost grab, F-tilt, needles, and just a big wall of defense is they might just go on platforms the entire game. And in this case, Sheik needs to use her gigantic and long-lasting aerials in order to shark the fox. So just doing things like back air, up air, nair, and fair in various ways that aren't predictable will likely force the fox to come down, and then you can do something afterwards like grab or F-tilt. So assuming we're on the ground, there are 2 main ways to interact with Fox and fight him. The first is grounded mix-ups. Grounded mix-ups are basically high risk, high reward. So think like Sheik F-tilting at Fox. You either win or you don't, and you either get a really big punish or you get punished really, really hard. If I F-tilt and I hit them, then it leads to a knockdown at the correct percent, and I get a super big tech chase. And if I miss and I get punished, I'm gonna get punished with something pretty big, like drill, up air, grab, nair, or up smash, which all lead to a ton of damage. For grounded mix-ups, think things like forward tilt, jabs or up tilts, which can catch them off guard, wave dash back, dash dance grabbing, or just boost grabbing or dash JC grabbing at them. As you can tell, these things are pretty risky, but also lead to a really big reward. Alternatively, we have aerial mix-ups. Now, aerial mix-ups are a less committal way to directly counter your opponent approaching, but often comes with less reward. An example of this is just like threatening fair, threatening back air. Sometimes you threaten an aerial, but then you wave land back in order to bait them into trying to punish you. You can do empty land into shield. You can mix up fast falling, no fast falling, drifting in, drifting out, short hop, full hop, doing aerial needles instead, double jumping, wave landing on the side plat, all these various things. As you can tell, like if you land an aerial, it's not going to lead to something as juicy as landing a forward tilt at knockdown percent. But at the same time, it's a lot harder for the Fox to punish you for doing an aerial than it is to punish you for doing something like a forward tilt. When you land an aerial on hit, playing the mix-up afterwards is very important. If unspaced, your best bet is to probably buffer shield or buffer crouch or spot dodge. But if spaced, dash JC grab afterwards, forward tilt, or down smash is very good. Crouch is also good even if it's spaced because a lot of Foxes like to do a down tilt, and if you read that, you can crouch cancel it and dash out of crouch, grab them, and punish them. When playing aerial mix-ups, it's important to alternate between what I call fair mode and bear mode. Both of these options accommodate for each other's weaknesses, so it's important to switch it up. Back air is gigantic and forces them to respect your space, but doesn't really threaten or pressure them really well, whereas fair threatens and pressures them really well, but it's really small, so threatening it makes Sheik vulnerable to getting hit. It doesn't really protect her very well. So if you alternate between the two, then they're forced to keep guessing. Once you get the Fox to mid percent, Sheik's combo game is pretty straightforward and intuitive. However, you need to make sure you don't do something like dash attack below 51%. And the reason for this is they should be able to ASDI down and tech in place if you do this, and then they can shine you and get a punish. They can still ASDI down tech roll until 63%, but you don't get punished, so it's not a big deal. Common examples of Sheik's combo game on Fox are to just get a dash attack and to either do a tilt, just like that, into another dash attack. You can combo it into something like down air into fair, or just up air, and maybe into another up air, depends on the percent though. So as you can see, this up air at this percent probably wasn't the greatest because they could probably jump out. Whereas down air was actually really juicy. But sometimes you actually want to forward air outright because even though it does less damage than down air to forward air, it sends at a better angle. So if you send it like that, then edge guarding them is a lot easier. Whereas if I do a down air into fair, then if they DI the fair right, they should have a lot more options. So sometimes just because a combo does more damage doesn't mean it's the best idea. Another common thing is just forward tilt, forward air, down tilt, forward air, down tilt into forward air, up tilt, forward air, up tilt into maybe a down air to forward air. The world is kind of your oyster. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Finally, we have the reaction tech chase. What you want to do to tech chase is to line yourself up after you down throw. So as you can see, I down throw here and I walk to where they DI. So I can sort of make this easier to see at a higher percent. So like as you can see, I kind of just walk as soon as possible so that my body is lined up by the time they tech, and then I can chase all four options pretty easily because of that. However, as you get better, you'll notice that they start doing what's called ambiguous DI, and that looks like this. And if they do it well enough, your life is going to be pretty hard. And it's going to be really annoying to try to tech chase this way. So you do what I call my halfway wave dash method, where I hold like about halfway between down and 45 degrees, which is about here. And that's my default, and I hold that during the down throw. And then if it's ambiguous DI, I simply wave dash, and I tech chase everything that way. And if it's a different DI, during my jump squat frames, I change my wave dash angle. So if it's full DI, I'd go like that. If it's no DI, I go like that. And if it's away DI, I go like that, or slight DI forward, yada yada. And the reason I wave dash for all DIs is because the extra jump squat frames allow me to react to the DIs easier. So even if they DI away, it's actually really annoying because if I'm set to wave dash, but then I see that it's not slight DI, then reacting and walking forward is actually a lot harder to react to with a walk than it is with a wave dash, because I'm going to wave dash no matter what. So that saves me 3 frames of reaction. Versus Falco, I use a different angle. I actually use very slightly back as my wave dash default. And this is because Falco's tech rolls are longer, but when you down throw him, he's in the air for far longer, so you can clear his body easier. I will say that under about 25-ish%, this wave dash method is very hard versus Fox, because if your wave dash doesn't have a perfect air dodge, you can actually cover up the tech in place animation with your body. So there's a whole can of worms there. At around 75-ish%, if they don't DI down and away on your down throw, you can actually combo it into F tilt, up tilt, or down smash. So basically they're forced to DI fully away on your down throw, and if they don't, you could punish them for it. Although it is kind of a DI 50-50. If they guess which one you're gonna do, if they guess that it's down smash, they could survival DI. If they guess that it's F tilt, they could DI away. So it's kind of it depends on how you feel in the moment. You can also just choose to keep tech chasing. Let's talk about edge guarding Fox. At early percent, if you do a forward throw, you probably want to either do a rising nair. A lot of the time they DI your throw in also because they don't want to die. And there you go. You can also do forward tilt, just like that. You can also run off and double jump nair if you think they'll jump late. So here they jump early, so it's a little hard. So it's kind of a 50-50. But if they jump later, then if you run off double jump nair, they would just die. And after you do that, obviously you grab ledge, and then you ledge jump back air over and over again. And you use the invincibility of grabbing the ledge in order to rinse and repeat without getting burned by the Firefox. On the left side of the stage, I like to use the palm of my hand to hit the back air input on the C-stick. But on the right side of the stage, I use claw grip. So I'm clawing here with my index finger on the Y button and my thumb on the C-stick. This way I can like drift even inward and I'll still be able to get the back air, because using the A button, forces you to drift a certain way. That makes sense. Instant needle is also really good. So just like that. A lot of it depends on how they DI your throw though. So it's very important to be very vigilant of how they DI'd your throw and making a decision because of that. So if I throw here, and they DI that way, then maybe I want to walk forward and then do a forward tilt, if that makes sense. Down smash can also be good, just like that. Now with back throw, it sort of depends on how they DI your throw as well. So as you can see, if they DI that far out, you probably want to wave dash to ledge, but you can also go out there if you think that'll be good. But if they do something like DI more inwards, then you could turn around forward tilt. Instant back air is also very good, like that. Run off double jump nair is also good. At high percents, the same thing applies. Just be very careful to pay attention to how they DI the throw. Doing nothing is also fantastic sometimes, because if you do nothing, then you can just simply react to the side B, forward tilt it, and there you go. If they do something like try to go to ledge, then you can react to that too. And instead of forward tilting, you just down smash. When you down smash, you want to be lined up almost like teetering, if not just teetering, because the way Sheik's down smash hitbox works, there's a hitbox where her head is. So you want to line that hitbox up and hit the side B that way. It doesn't cover the most perfect of sweet spots, but it covers almost all side Bs, even against the best players in the world. If you want to be perfect though, run off back air can work like that as well. But also, if they choose to up B instead, then you have a good chance of covering that as well. Even if they don't go in that direction and they go high instead, you can just up air it after whiffing the fair. At high percent, if you read that they will not do instant side B as soon as you throw them off, you can actually guarantee their death. And what I mean by that is if you just go out there, you can actually react to everything and cover everything. So just like that, you just go out there with dash full hop reverse needle cancel. So you simply react to the side B sound just like this. As long as you fall with Fox at the exact same time, you can cover every side B and up B on reaction. The only problem is if they instantly side B as soon as you go out there, that beats it. However, if you just stood there and did nothing, then you can down smash or F tilt the side B like we talked about earlier. Now let's talk about how to DI Fox's throws. At early percent, what I like to do is full DI the up throw to either side and input a nair while also inputting an SDI away. And so it's very difficult for the Fox to get a true combo. They would have to read with either up smash or maybe nair, but if the Sheik's timing is good enough, it's very tough, if not impossible. Another thing Sheik can do is just jump out. You should use tap jump for this because there's a buffer window if you tap jump, and it makes your life a lot easier. And as you can see, it just dodges it, just like that. But the Fox can just read it and full jump up air, and then the Sheik can just die. So that's important to keep in mind. If you do no DI on the up throw, it's not the end of the world. Fox's up throw is unreactable, so it's important to keep in mind that if you want to DI the throw, you're going to have to use the context of the situation to make that decision. So if you go like that, Fox can do that. But if Sheik does nair and SDI away, it's still a very good situation for her. But if you jump or you get hit by short up air, then that can be a really big problem. Up smash is also unreactable, same to up throw, and so it's a little bit tricky because you can technically ASDI down and tech the up smash below 15-ish%. So just like that, you can punish Fox for doing that up smash. The problem with this is it's a hard read that Fox is going to do the up smash because up smash is unreactable. And so if the Fox does up throw instead, there's not really a way to avoid doing no DI on the up throw. So it's a little bit of a hard read. But you can sort of pick a best of both worlds and do a tech roll instead, which will keep you safe, but you don't get a punish. But you get to full DI the up throw, so that's kind of cool. In my opinion, you should SDI Fox's up air with a swift tap and don't try to wank or curl the stick. The reason for this is you only have 3 frames to SDI, and so it's not really feasible to try to shake it really quickly or anything like that. And this especially isn't worth it in my opinion because it compromises your DI heavily. So if I swipe like this, as you can see on my overlay, if I go like this and try to swipe up or swipe down, then I'm probably going to DI the up air at a 45-degree angle if I don't get the SDI successfully. And this will make life pretty sad. Fox gets an up air and I do that SDI attempt, then my DI will be something like that. Then it kind of just leads to another up air really easily. Whereas if I'm able to full DI, then it's significantly harder in a lot of spots for the Fox, especially when there's platforms to land on and things like that. Like we talked about in the last episode, crouch canceling is pretty good against Fox, but a lot of the time ASDI down is better because of the pancaking effect and not being able to punish Fox nair as a result. Sheik's shield is fantastic, and being able to do things like buffer roll and things like that out of pressure situations is also amazing because Sheik's roll is really good. Fox's nair is very safe on shield, but almost every single Fox drill is shield grabbable, and so that's important to keep in mind. So even though Fox's nair is crouch cancelable and Fox's drill isn't, Fox's drill is a lot worse on shield than Fox's nair. What I mean by Fox's drill is almost always shield grabbable is if it's not perfectly unstale and they shine perfectly on time after the landing lag, then and only then is it -6. Other than that, it will always be -7, which means it'll be shield grabbable. So let's talk about stages in this matchup. Battlefield is Sheik's favorite stage in this matchup. It's the perfect size, edgeguarding is easy, and it has 3 platforms which Sheiks love. Yoshi's is like a smaller battlefield, and edgeguarding gets a little bit harder, and she dies earlier because the ceiling is so low. But it's really good for scraps and things like that. Dreamland is kind of the opposite, where the high ceiling is really good in terms of not dying, but because there's so much room, Fox gets to run around and it's hard to catch him. Fountain can be really good for Sheik, especially with up tilting under the platforms to pressure Fox, but your tech chases can get messed up, and sometimes you can't short hop needle edge guard because of the side plats. You'll have to use like the chain or something instead, which is pretty funny. Stadium and FD are considered to be Sheik's worst stages by far. Stadium is considered to be slightly better for her, but not by much. Sheik struggles to get down from being juggled, and the ceiling is so low, so she dies really early. Some silver linings are that on FD, you can end tech chases fairly earlier with dash attack because there's no risk of them DIing to a side platform and then sliding off or anything like that. Fox not being able to recover to a side plat is also a big plus. On Stadium, the side plats can be kind of annoying because Sheik's short hop does a no impact land on them, and that looks like this. So normally, a short hop will force me to land here, and a backflip will also force me to land here, although a little bit faster. In order to prevent this, you can either hold down the entire time during a short hop, but I don't like this because if you let go for even a frame, you will just land on the plat. So what I think is good is just to needle cancel. And this will let you basically act as if it wasn't there. But the problem is rising aerials are hard because if you delay too much, you'll just land on it. All in all, it's important to remember that in order to beat Fox, not only do you have to follow all of these rules, and you have to have good tech chases, and you have to have good edge guarding, and you have to have good SDI, but you also need to play the human being in front of you extremely well. Pay attention to their habits and what works and what doesn't, and be prepared to capitalize on them.